Welcome everyone. I am Matthew Santana. I am here today with Danette Mahabeer, writer and author of Leave Alive, Goodbye Domestic Violence.
Hey,
Hello,
thank
Danette.
you. Thank you for having me. Well, the title of this book, Leave Alive, is specifically addressing the issues of domestic violence in our society today. And so with that said, it is a self-explanatory title. I am trying to help current victims in our society today to live alive by using this book as a guide. Well, for me, the writing process was at sometimes exhausting and sometimes it was energizing. I would say energizing because I was pumped up, I knew exactly what I wanted to write about, and so sometimes the content wasn't flowing as I wanted it to. But I did have a concept and I did have a sequence. So after having the title of my book, I started working on the chapters, and though they weren't in a particular sequence then, that's my next step. After having all my chapters ready, I started putting them in sequence. After having them in sequence, it was easier for me to start elaborating on each chapter, and sometimes I did get stuck, but I paused for a while, a few days, a week, picked that book back up because I wanted to make sure the content in this book was well thought of. Well, I was inspired to write this book based on having the same experience in my past. I was a victim of domestic violence, now a survivor, and so I wanted to write this book because there were resources that were made available to me when I was a victim, and I wanted to create something a little bit different than just a book that you're reading, in the form of a guide with steps on how to get out if you are currently being victimized. My advice to you is, if you have kids, this book is going to help you raising your children to become confident adults with high self-esteem. It's going to help you to gain patience when dealing with your children, because that plays a very important role from childhood all the way into adulthood. So many people today who have low self-esteem as an adult, the reason for that is because they weren't loved when they were growing up. They didn't get enough attention. They didn't feel appreciated. They didn't feel like they were part of the decision process and all that stuff. So this book is not only helping victims of domestic violence, it is also inspiration to those who want to become advocates. Being an advocate doesn't mean that you have been a victim in the past, but you may have known someone, you may have had a loved one or a friend or a neighbor that have endured domestic violence, and this book is going to help you, one, getting out safely if you are currently being victimized. Two, it's going to inspire you if you were a victim in the past. Three, it's going to help those who want to become advocates. And four, it's going to help parents better raising your children to know what you're worth and know when to walk away from anything or anyone that does not value your worth. So this book, as you can see, the title, Leave Alive, Goodbye Domestic Violence. It is a guide and support for those who are currently being victimized. And so this book also contains Bible scriptures that will help to uplift one's spirit, strengthen, and encourage. And so at the content page, let's look at the content page for example. I started off writing this book to help parents raising their children to become confident adults. So raising up warriors, encouraging confidence, embracing differences and personalities, because we all have a different personality and we were made up differently to build up this nation. So it's okay to be black, it's okay to be white, it is okay to be and look different, and we need to start teaching our children from a tender age that it is okay, you are beautiful just the way you are, with your flaws, with your imperfections. And so this book is helping parents as well as we go along. Building self-esteem is my next chapter, identifying toxic relationships. So now we're able as parents to identify toxic relationships, to avoid staying in one that our children will grow up and experience domestic violence, or us being abused, or a father being abusive to a mother, or vice versa. And so after identifying toxic relationships, if you are a parent, then you're going to know how to get out of that. If you are in that situation, then it's going to also help you to identify those signs. And after identifying, how do you avoid a toxic relationship? So my next chapter is avoiding toxic relationship. Live to love, not love to death, because the Bible speaks of till death do us part. But from time to time, it is heard of someone saying, I love you to death. Why not love me until one of us die? So I love you to death can mean if I can't have you, no one else can. And so I wanted to make that clear and separate from what the Bible actually means. And so you can tell the difference if someone is just being jealous and if someone is being selfish versus if someone is loving you unconditionally as per the Bible scriptures. Exercising courage and bravery. In order for someone who's currently being victimized to leave a domestic situation, you have to gain and develop that bravery and courage to walk away. And it's not easy, especially when you're dependent on that person who is your abuser and so much more. So it does take a lot of courage and bravery for one to be able to walk away. And so this book speaks about that in that chapter, exercising courage and bravery. Breaking silence, making sure that you're not keeping this a secret between you and the abuser, making sure that you are confiding in someone, a friend, a family member, getting the right help that you need, all the resources that are available to you out there as victims, such as advocacy centers, making sure that you're filing all your police report, etc. Staying safe, and most people don't understand that after walking away from a domestic situation, it doesn't mean that you are safe. That's when your abuser becomes retaliatory, and you then have to take precautionary measures to make sure that you are still staying safe, all right, from victim to victor. This is going to help persons who, after leaving or while you're there, how do you become a victor versus the victim that you were? And this chapter is going to help all those people. And also the last one is talking about cultivating the advocate in you. So those who want to be advocates, want to help others in our society to live alive, that chapter is going to help them to, become advocates respectively. And the last thing is a letter to my daughter, because I want her to know what you should accept and what is not acceptable.
So where can someone get this book, Leave Alive?
So Leave Alive is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, AuthorHouse.com.
Where can they find you on social media?
So you can find this book on social media, on Facebook at Leave Alive Book or Leave Alive Today, on Instagram at Leave Alive Today. You can also find me personally on Facebook, Danette Mahabeer, on Instagram, Danette Mahabeer.